are under the hood here on 93.5 and 107.5 talking with Corey Lajoie. Corey, thank you so much for joining us here, man. Obviously, it's a busy weekend, but an exciting weekend. What does it mean for you to be back on the oval as you guys come into this weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
I think it means just as much to me as a competitor and our team, but I think it means a lot to the fans, too. You see a lot of foot traffic already here on Saturday, still hours before an Xfinity race or we qualify. So it's cool to see the fans come out and support it. Fan zone seems packed, but just going down the main straightaway at 200 miles an hour here at Indy's, unlike any experience as a race car driver you'll ever have. So it's pretty cool to get back on that. You forget how much commitment it takes to go around this oval. I mean, it's smooth, it's fast, and you're just on the verge of busting your butt any given moment. And I think that's what the fans love to see, is just guys pushing cars to the edge of what their capabilities are. So we Big buddy saying
we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So first time, actually. It's the first time I've talked about it this week, besides the podcast. So I didn't anticipate it growing to what it is currently, but I'm excited to get into that. But we have a great Gainbridge Camaro. I think a little extra pressure, right, coming in here to Indy. You see Gainbridge a lot. Their presence here, whether it's in the Pagoda or whether it's audio commercials going on in the fan zone, they have a large presence here at the Brickyard. So we want to make sure we go out and perform for those guys this weekend.
He's Corey Lajoie. I'm Kurt Darling, and he is B Swift.
Now, you've jumped in our world a little bit. Of course, you sit behind the seat, but you've jumped into podcasting. How has that been for you?
Well, I've learned the areas where I can insert my foot in my mouth, so I try to stay away from those. I've got pretty good at, naturally, my mouth starts flapping to just add fuel to fires. So trying to, be an active competitor, but also be an analyst of the sport and tell it how it is, and get inside of why guys make certain decisions or why they do certain moves. I think it's cool, but it's also a hard line to toe.
Yeah.
It's been a blast the last couple of years we've done it. My buddy Ryan Flores, who changes front tires for Ryan Blaney, me and him have known each other for almost 20 years now, so we just get in there and chop it up about what we love, and I think it allows me to stay relevant, bring my partners on board in a little bit less capacity than on the race car, but also just give the fans a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of what the struggles are, how freaking hard it is, and all that sort of thing, because broadcast only has time for broadcast. But whether it's Denny doing his podcast or Junior giving his opinion on things or mine, I think the fans can really delve into how the mindset and the approach and the preparation of being a race car driver.
We're under the hood with Corey Lajoie from Spire Motorsports here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. So Corey, let's go ahead and talk about it. So can you describe what exactly happened with Kyle Busch last week, and has there been any dialogue between you and him ever since? Where do things stand on that?
So, chronologically, you get out, or the incident happens on a restart, and it's 7 wide getting to turn 1 there. The visibility's hard. If you've got to run, you got to take it. So I make my first move with a considerable amount of momentum. He blocks it. I go another lane, and at that point in time, you're just kind of holding your lane, holding it straight. Next thing you know, the A car turns off your nose, and there was a ton of collateral damage from it. So meanwhile, my crew chief was born in Winston-Salem, grew up going to Bowman Gray, so he went full Bowman Gray right on the radio. Y'all heard it on the broadcast. So my understanding of the incident is that he blocked me. Then I hear that, my crew chief, I just took his word for it, like, this is how it went down. So I get out this is still a distant memory from the time it happened to the end of the race, because there was still 35 to go. And I get out, I'm like, why are all these people standing around my car wanting to talk to me, right? So I was a little bit flippant about it, just because I didn't understand the magnitude of what had happened, and also how it could be perceived visually with the lines in the asphalt, with also, like I said, the collateral damage, but also with Spark saying what he did playing on the broadcast, Spotter saying what he did on playing on the broadcast. It could be perceived as it was intentional. And I had no understanding of that, right? So I was flipping about it before I saw any replay. I didn't see any replays of the incident until I got on the plane. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, ooh, no. Like, I wish I would have got a redo on my media, because more people are going to see the media after the race than hear my podcast while I watch the replays back. it wasn't intentional, but the outcome was that I wrecked the 8 car. Plain and simple, right? So he regardless if it was intentional or not, Kyle has the right to be mad. And I reach out to him after I just see all the stuff, listen to his in-car camera, he tried to stretch 4th gear out, he got on the chip, I misjudged trying to blend back in behind him. So I originally did change my story from what I perceived out of the windshield and what I heard versus what reality was, and then I started putting all the pieces together. So I tried to text him, tried to call him, left him a voicemail, the whole thing. Texted RC, called RC. The only person I got a hold of was Randall Burnett, his crew chief, and him and I have known each other for a long time. So we chopped it up for 20, 30 minutes, right? I wrecked this car, so he wasn't particularly happy, but we talked through it about, what all happened. But then, right, I get all these people that are checking, hey man, you okay? I'm thinking about you. I'm on social media, which is probably good this week that I haven't seen anything when people are talking about it. And then you see, right, I love Pat McAfee. Got to meet him several years ago, right? He's Indy native. I mean, he just has the biggest sports talk show in the world. And then he goes on there, and then he's just dogging, right? So the incident between him and I was just a straw that broke the camel's back of the year that has been the 8 car, right? They've been running terrible for what you're accustomed to seeing Kyle Busch run. And then I was the incident that lit the match, and then, you come into the media frenzy, then he, lets me have it. So I'm a little bit, not upset, but I wish we had the chance to talk before he wants to go and call me all the things he called me, but you want to give the media something to get you some clicks and you step on the soapbox, and when you have the microphone, you say a lot of things that you feel passionate about in the moment. But, we're both grown men, and we're going to handle things, whether it's off the racetrack or on the racetrack, and we're going to see how it all comes to fruition here. And I can assure you this, I will give the 8 car a little more room than usual. It's not like we've had a lot of problems. You race in the Cup Series 7 years, it's inevitable you're going to run into every single person at least once. But, Kyle and I wouldn't say that we're friends, but I would say that we've been cordial and respectful and of each other's accomplishments, me, how I got here, and his 63 career wins. He's one of the best to ever do it. So, yeah, it's been yucky this week. I'm glad I'm off social media. It's the first time I'm getting to talk about it, but I wish that he would have had at least the decency to pick up the phone and ask, and at least listen to what I had to say before he dragged me around. It is what it is.
It is what it is, and that's my next question. Now, with you being in the pod world, of course, this becomes a possible episode, and you bring in your crew. Y'all talk
the first thing we're going to be talking about Monday.
I can only imagine, when you look at this episode's not taped, so of course we can't speak on it, but looking at what you've done, do you have a memorable episode where you that's the one when I realized that I like doing this?
No, because it's more often than not, I come in here I come in my podcast garage and sitting on the couch why the hell am I doing this? Because you put yourself out there. You walk to the end of the plank. Even you do that every weekend, right? You walk to the end of the plank and you are judged by your performance on the racetrack.
Facts.
Not by your morals, not by who you are as a person. You're judged only and solely by how good you are driving a race car in a circle. So when you are already at the end of that, you can't unplug from that, because I go out there on Monday and there's only a couple of us that go walk to the end of the plank and talk about our performance, right? And give the fans another chance to judge you or critique you or criticize you or whatever it is. And with our year not going how we want it to go, it makes it damn, I gotta come in here and talk about it again. But you just kind of suck it up and you put your big boy pants on and you get to work. So it's good when it's going good. But back to your question, I think just having the opportunity to have a lot of cool guests on. Mike Helton was one of my favorite ones. There he is.
I can imagine. Yeah, there's Mike Helton going by right now, actually. So yeah.
No, that's not Mike Helton. That's Kyle.
Oh, it's Kyle. Okay.
Hey, Kyle. I just want to talk. That's all. I just want to talk. He don't want to talk.
He don't want to talk.
Alrighty then.
Look,
he's not keen on a chat. I'm starting to pick up. This fella here is wearing an SVG hat. He's been on the podcast several times, so I'm starting to pick up on some lingo. Ooh.
He don't want to talk, so these is yours.
There we go. You were going to give him the Kyle, but he drove on by.
He's Corey Lajoie joining us here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I made a video about Albanese gummy bears being my favorite snack food, so they hooked me up with a bag of these. They are tremendous. The flavor in these gummy bears are
I can vouch for it.
You have to go to the factory right outside of Maryville. Right outside, in between India and Chicago, is the factory right there.
Really?
You can buy like a 40-pound bag for like $6.
Too bad you guys didn't know about that when you were up in Chicago, right?
No doubt. I'd have had that 40-pound bag over my shoulder.
Oh my God. That would be something fun to watch. So, Corey, now talking about the race itself here. So, you got to go through practice yesterday. Brand new car going around the oval. What were your observances? What were your experiences? How do you think the racing's going to be come Sunday?
It takes full commitment. It takes full commitment, and you see, Tyler Reddick made late a monster right down. You're on the you're not quite wide open. You got a lot of off throttle time in this next gen car, but I think qualifying we're going to see a green racetrack, a little bit cooler temps than yesterday, and you're going to have to commit. You're going to have to really lean on the right sides and trust that the grip's going to be there. But anything, we've tried a bunch of different downforce packages with this car. I think it's going to certainly look different than what people are accustomed to looking when you're watching the Indy 500. Those guys are going 230, 240 miles an hour. So the race itself is going to just look differently than what our cars are going to look at the racetrack. We're going to be able to be side by side a little more. We're going to be able to be nose to tail a little bit closer than what you're accustomed to seeing. But naturally, with two bricks going through the air, the guy behind, the guy in front is going to be at a disadvantage. So trying to put yourself in the cleanest there as possible is certainly the number one priority. And hopefully your deltas from practice to the race show up pretty well, and hopefully you nail it.
No pun intended with the bricks, right?
Yes, that was no. A stock car is a brick, right? Essentially it's about as aerodynamic as a brick, and here we are taking them across the yard of bricks 200 miles an hour.
Now we celebrate 30 years of running for the Brickyard 400. Do you have any memorable moments for yourself, or as a fan watching it growing up that you like, I just love coming here because of this?
Man, I feel like there's countless, but remember Paul Menard winning that Indy 500 home race or Brickyard 400 home race for him, and a guy like him, that's his only career win, right? Fuel strategy, Bono Manion's crew chief, they got the win there, how emotional he was. But I think we all can agree that seeing Tony Stewart climb the fence and do the burnout turn 2 was 08 maybe, was peak Brickyard for me, and also the first one. You go back 1994, I was only 3 years old, but you go back and look at all the videos they had of that from the test, and the Brett Bodine, Jeff Bodine incidents off turn 4, or was it 2 or 4 the first lap? But there's so many cool things to draw from the 30 years of the Brickyard. It's really cool to be part of this.
Definitely. Well, best of luck this weekend, Corey, and for the rest of the season as well.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Y'all have a good day. Thanks for coming out.
He's Corey Lajoie with Spire Motorsports, going under the hood here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.